With the release of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, we now have 10 films in the Planet of the Apes saga. So today I thought it was time for me to stop and rank all 10 Planet of the Apes films, ranked from the worst to the best. Please note that everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. My name is SW Nation, and you're free to comment down below your very own ranking of all 10 Planet of the Apes films ranked from the worst to the best, just like me. Or you could just do your favorite. Come over here and join the SW Nation. We have a whole lot of fun here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok. Those links are also in the description as well. With all that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said before, let's get right into our ranking. Kicking off our list at number 10 for me has got to go to Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The sequel to the iconic movie tries to continue the theme of man's inhumanity to man and how our actions have consequences. But the effects look worse, the plot is confusing, the budget is lower, and overall, there's just a lot of talking. The ending, while shocking with the entire Earth being blown up, that's all it is. It's just shocking. At least there is a more good-looking lead this time. But basically, he's the same character. Number 9 is Planet of the Apes 2001. Tim Burton is a fabulous director. I love the Batman films. Alice in Wonderland is pretty okay. But his need to turn everything into an epic blockbuster needs to be studied. Like I just mentioned, Alice in Wonderland, that is a film that didn't need to be turned into a superhero blockbuster. It made $1 billion, but it didn't need to become an epic hero's journey. And that's what this film is. On a positive note, the makeup and prosthetics are incredible. The best of the entire franchise. I think if you wanted to go more, prosthetics, makeup, this is the way to do it. Versus the CGI versions of it, I like these a lot. I prefer the CGI versions, but I like the prosthetic versions a lot, and I have no complaints when it comes to that. When it comes to being different, Burton puts his own spin on the classic by sort of making it into this dark fantasy sci-fi film. It's almost as if this film was a fever dream. I watched it, but I think, did I really watch it? There's a lot of things that are different here. They touch a little bit more on some lore, and I think most of it kind of works, but not better than other films. In the end, I'm not rewatching the Mark Wahlberg version. Number 8, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. This is sort of a mix between Dawn and War. You have the epic human and ape war mixed with the betrayal of a fellow ape, neither of which are fleshed out nearly enough. As a final conclusion to this this particular Apes franchise, it's solid enough. I really don't have any complaints. I don't hate it. I don't have any strong feelings about it. And truth be told, it actually took me over 5 times to watch this film. Both times I started watching it late at night, and then I would fall asleep. And then there was times where I was starting to watch it, but then I had side quests to complete. So it took me a very long time to actually sit down and watch this movie in its complete entirety. And once I did, I found myself really liking it, but nothing extraordinary for me stood out. So it's like the Return of the Jedi of the Apes films for me. A lot of people love Return of the Jedi. I don't think a lot of people love this movie, but it's the epic conclusion to this specific franchise, and it's okay. It's just all right. I don't have any strong feelings about it, just like I don't have any strong feelings about Return of the Jedi. 7, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. This version of Caesar is a bit more angry than the CGI version, and it's a difference. It's a difference. I grew up with the CGI version of Caesar, so when it comes to this version of Caesar, having a more angry, more ruthless version of Caesar was kind of off-putting, but also, for the time, you kind of get it. To be fair, I kind of find this Caesar to be likable, but very much like Malcolm X than the MLK of the CGI version. There is a huge jump from Battle to this. Just the way it's sort of like Rise of the Planet of the Apes a bit, but not as complex as that film. You get the revolutionary speeches. You get where Rise gets his biggest moment from. No! It's bleak. It's angry. I liked it. 6 is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. I went into this film having low hopes for the rest of the franchise. I mean, for this, Conquest, and Battle, because Beneath just bored me, and I just did not find it that interesting, and I was like, I'm gonna watch 3 more movies just like that. And then we got to Escape to the Planet of the Apes, the next film over. And this is the most fun film on this list. While not losing the core message of fear and prejudice, I found this movie to be pretty okay. We start the lore that was established in Rise, with Caesar rising up and saying no, and then that's also later translated to Conquest and later translated to Battle. So I love the fact that this movie is kind of laying the groundwork and kind of shows a little bit more of a backstory to how the apes took over the planet, but also how people fear Zira and Cornelius right now. Likewise, Zira and Cornelius' fame provided some fun montages for me. The whole movie is wildly amusing as it is more character focused, allowing for a more emotional ending as we see the death of the couple. But the birth of Caesar, I think overall, it's the most fun movie on this list, but it's also one of the most emotionally heartbreaking movies on this list. Our top 5 list is 1968 Planet of the Apes. It's one of those movies that I just had to put up this high because it is the first, the iconic film that started it all. While being a suspenseful sci-fi, it also tells a message about man's inhumanity to man. The cliffhanger provides a shocking ending that establishes this film at classic status. You get the iconic lines that have been referenced for years in multiple media. The prosthetics at the time were revolutionary, and without preaching, it tells an epic sci-fi story with some social commentary. I went into this movie not expecting it to be actually this suspenseful, this, almost terrifying a bit. It's almost like a nightmare. It's also one of those movies that's a product of its time, 1968, but it also stands true today. And it's a movie that can be watched today. And it's one of those timeless classics that the theme of it is even more prevalent today. Number 4 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, our newest addition to the franchise, a revival of the CGI franchise that still feels fresh today. The film was able to continue the themes established before. While it is consistent with the Caesar trilogy, I didn't love it like how I loved the trilogy. And you know what? That's okay. I found it to be longer than it needed to be, and when it comes to the story, it tends to fall apart near the middle. But I gotta say, the world is still fun to explore. This is a true Planet of the Apes, and we get some fantastic new characters like King Proximus, who is, in my opinion, my favorite character in this movie, and probably my second favorite character of the entire franchise. He is such a great antagonist because he's very fascinated by humans, and he wants to learn more about humans, and it's his quest for knowledge that makes him antagonistic. And I love that about our villain here. And obviously, the CGI and motion capture is incredible, it's spectacular, it's a spectacle to behold. All of it works for me. I think Wes Ball's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a fabulous continuation of this franchise. Kicking off our top 3 list is War for the Planet of the Apes. Now we get into the peakness. Now we get into what is in my top 5 favorite trilogies, the Caesar trilogy. Look, this movie is possibly the darkest and the most heartbreaking film on this list. This is the most character-driven film in the trilogy, where you finally get to see Caesar's death. The motion capture on Caesar in this film is just incredible. I think it's the best of all of the movies, and as well as the performance. I mean, just look at his eyes in this scene. The way that he looks longing at his people injured and dying, and he has to be the leader for them. Look, the Andy Serkis Oscar snubs need to be studied because he should have won something, a grand award, for his performance inside of this film as well as the other films before. War is just fascinating, how it managed to subvert many expectations and be about a war within Caesar's psyche, how he views himself after killing Koba. Does his rule mean anything? His quest for revenge, all of it worked for me in giving us one of the greatest character arcs inside of this trilogy. Matt Reeves told a compelling and riveting narrative that perfectly and satisfyingly concludes the trilogy. in an albeit heartbreaking way, with some glimmers of hope. My runner-up at number 2 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Look, I love the thematic richness of war, but it's the origins of a leader here. This is the origins of Caesar, and I really do enjoy origin stories, but also Rise of the Planet of the Apes was the one film that I grew up with. This was my Planet of the Apes film. I had the DVD. I watched it all the time. I didn't even know that there were sequels upon sequels. I didn't even know that it was this mature, that it was this complex. But now, being older, I see all the complexities here. Whether you're talking about the memorable lines like
Caesar is home,
or the revolutionary motion capture, this film has it all. Caesar's rise to power, but also his rise to intelligence, is something very interesting to watch on the screen. I love the makings of a revolution here, and also that revolution feels earned because you finally get to see the rise of the Planet of the Apes from the apes' perspective, and you get it from the perspective of a character that is not angry with the humans, was actually very much raised by them. But he's also a character that's trying to find himself and find where he belongs. Does he belong with the humans, or does he belong with his fellow apes? And I think that right there worked for the film because they set the tone early on that this was, while paying homage to the 1968 version, was going to be taken seriously. And this is going to be a more dramatic Planet of the Apes. A low expectations prequel like this became the start of one of everyone's favorite trilogy. But coming in at my number 1 obviously has got to go to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And this one and Rise kind of battle back and forth for me because I just love Rise so much. I love the becomings of a revolution. And I love Dawn, but I'm not as, oh my God, it's the greatest film of 2014 type of love Dawn. I think Dawn is a very, very great structured film. I saw this film in theaters, but I didn't remember it, only that it was really good. Look, the Apes franchise has always been about prejudice and fear, and now we see it from the perspective of an ape. This film expands on its predecessor by introducing complex conflict between Caesar and Koba. Likewise, the humans got some depth as well, albeit very emotional. I love the conflict between Koba and Caesar because you can kind of see both sides. Koba fears the humans because they experimented on him. Caesar kind of gives the humans a little bit of leeway because he was raised by one. And it's that conflicting viewpoint that questions our morality on whose side we should be on. Likewise with the humans. All they know is that the apes have taken over and they see them as dangerous. Both sides, apes and humans, are fearful of each other, and that causes conflict. Matt Reeves brings a sense of drama to this film. Kind of soap opera-y a little bit, but it works. Where both sides are kind of right to fear each other. Koba fears the humans, like I said before, because he's been experimented on. So that leads to him starting a war between the apes and the humans. The humans now fear the apes because of that war and because of that fear that Koba had for them. It's an ongoing cycle, and it's told to perfection in this film. This movie is action-packed, is morally gray, and character-driven. It is definitely the most thematically rich film on this list. I wouldn't say it's the best film of 2014 because that thing goes to Captain America Winter Soldier. But I will say it's a close runner-up for me. This is why Dawn of the Planet of the Apes has to come in at number 1. Alright guys, that is it for the ranking. Please know that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion. My list was certainly not the right list, it was just my list. And you're free to comment down below your very own ranking of all of the Planet of the Apes films, ranked from the worst to the best just like me. Or you could just do your favorite. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok. Those links are also in the description as well. And also don't forget to come back later for more movie reviews, movie rankings, all of that jazz, all of that fun stuff. With all of that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Peace.